So one of the things when you look at this whole journey you've been through in the past, let's say 15 years, basically, what were the key points that you didn't tell us? So a couple of moments you told us along the way, but which realizations along the way were important for you to change track or keep on going, even though up until 5 minutes ago it seemed meaningless?
Oh, key realizations. I think just because we talked about it, when I started my Instagram account, as silly as it sounds, I genuinely did not think it would be anything. Like, I started it because a friend told me to do it. And I was like, no one reads on Instagram. It's 2019 early. I was like, this is so dumb. It doesn't matter. And I was kind of embarrassed. I was like, but, I'm just going to put things out there. And I had no idea what I was doing. People were like, are you going to specialize? Are you only going to talk about grief or addiction? And like, it was so much stress. And I was like, I don't know. I'm just going to talk about things the way I understand them. And I gave myself 6 months. And I was like, if in 6 months this doesn't work, and my goal was 5,000 followers, I was like, I'm going to quit. And that's okay. I tried. That was my spirit. I'm just going to try. And I remember the first 3 months or something, my mom was one of the only people that liked my post, and then my sister, and then I would make all my friends like it, and it was like I had 200 followers. And it was so embarrassing because I was doing this expert thing, but no one was listening. And I was just like, no, just keep just try it. Don't take it too seriously. And then maybe it happened really exponentially, but I think within the first maybe 4 or 5 months, I hit the 5,000 period, 5,000 mark. And I remember almost shutting down my Instagram because it was too many people. And I remember thinking, this is way too much responsibility. The reason I'm sharing this story, and then by the end of the year, I had 200,000 followers. So I think it took, 8 months to get to 800,000. But I remember being like, oh, people are listening. And that scared the shit out of me because it's nice in theory. And
with
then
great power comes great responsibility.
Yes. And as funny as that sounds, Spider-Man said it best, where I started to feel this crushing sense of responsibility of 5,000 people, where I was like, if I say something wrong, what if they misinterpret it? People would be like, I sent this to my boyfriend after our fight. And I was like, that's not the way I intended this post to be used. Please don't do that. And it was so much. And so I had this pivotal moment of well, do I want to create influence this way or do I not? Am I ready for this? Am I not? And so that was a really huge thing of learning that people were listening and then progressively learning how much impact I had and having to grapple with the responsibility that came with that. And it still blows my mind. And it still sometimes I'm like, it's getting obviously easier. And sometimes when the number is big, it just becomes more of a number than being like, how many arenas? My sister did this to me once. And I was like, why would you do that? She's like, Sarah, because the Taylor Swift had her show. She's like, okay, so with your following, that's this many arenas. And I was like, don't tell me that. No, but it's a really good. So I think some of the lessons were really about what do I want to do? What is my contribution? How am I taking responsibility for this sort of role that I'm playing? So I would say that was one of them.
One of the things that happens with social media, especially for someone like you working on a specific field, working one-on-one in small teams, is you get feedback. You get lots of feedback. You get lots of unwanted feedback. And, especially if it's personal and it's a passion project and it's something you believe in and something you care about, you mentioned one moment when someone, basically weaponized your post to use it for something that it wasn't intended to be used for. So it's one thing. There have been millions of these cases. So how did you process that in a way that in the end you have a healthy relationship with your fame? Because really after 1 million, it's fame.
Yeah. So what I had to, most therapists have a disclaimer. This is not therapy. This is just information. You have to contextualize it. It's general, whatever. I think having that up there was really helpful. But the second thing is as someone who preaches responsibility, I had to go, I'm responsible for what I put out. They're responsible for how they consume it and how they use it. And I cannot take that responsibility for them. And so that really helped me, because I was like, I can give you like a toy and you can use it to do harm. Like, you know what I mean? And it's like, or you can use it to play. You can do whatever you want. And so that was my relationship of like, all I can do is hold myself accountable, and I love feedback, and I will ask feedback from certain individuals and professionals within the field, where I'll be like, hey, I read this comment. Do you think that the wording was such and such? And my friends will tell me, they'll be like, yeah, the wording was confusing, or yeah, it did actually have this different meaning that maybe you didn't see. And I'll be like, great, I'll take it down, or I'll reword it, or I'll explain it. So I'm not above making mistakes, but for me, it was, having people, trusting my audience, and then also having people around me that I feel comfortable enough asking, or being like, call me out if you see something on my page that's not okay. And so that's kind of how I've been dealing with it, because there's nothing else to do with it.